I've kept this story buried deep inside me for far too long, but recently, I've started seeing things I saw that day, and I need to get this off my chest. I once went on what I thought would be a simple solo camping trip in the mountains, hoping for a snowy adventure. But what I found was much more terrifying. It was a ghost town, a place that shouldn't exist, and now, it haunts me. Today, I'm going to tell you the story of how I stumbled upon it, and why I regret ever setting foot there. I found a ghost town and I regret everything. I always thought I'd take this story to the grave, but I keep seeing things I saw that day, so I must get this out of my head. Hopefully, this will help, but I fear I will find this town again. This all happened because I wanted to leave the state to do a solo camping trip. I always try to do one yearly, but I live in the south, and it never really snows, so I wanted to go north in the mountains and experience a snowy camping trip. I now know this was a mistake, but maybe it was a lesson I don't know anymore. I got my stuff together and made sure to grab a rifle. I wasn't trying to get in a fistfight with a wolf or something. I left on a Friday around 3 a.m., and after a very long day and a half, I was at Cleveland in Montana. Once I got there, I gathered all my supplies and locked the car. I also tried to send a text to a friend, kinda as an, if you don't hear from me by this time, then send help, but I guess I was already out of range, and it didn't send, but I wasn't going to drive 50 miles just to send a text. Although, in retrospect, I think I should have made that drive, maybe I wouldn't be contemplating the rest of my life. Either way, it's just a what if. After getting my stuff, I started the long hike to a potential campsite. It took about 2 hours to get to a good spot. I set up a tent, a thin wood stove, a fire, and a small storage spot. After all that, I checked the time, and it was around 8 p.m., at least, I think, so I just remember it being dark. I pretty much crashed after this. After what felt like a very short night, I woke up early in the morning so I could try and get some hiking done before I had to worry about finding some food for dinner. I grabbed my bag, rifle, some ammo, and a few protein bars. I headed further up the mountain, and honestly, the view was stellar. Anyway, after just an hour of hiking, I got to a landing with tons of trees, like an abnormal amount of trees. I don't know if my curiosity or something was making me go into those woods, but I just went in. As I was walking through, the trees seemed to get thicker both in amount and size. It still doesn't make sense, but they started to get twisted, unlike knots, when a tree grows around something. No, these were twisted around each other, and they went from brown to ashy gray. I felt sickened when I saw them, almost like the trees were watching me. After a while, I finally got past those trees, and I was at the edge of the woods, and all I saw was a blizzard. I never saw a single snowflake that whole day, and all of a sudden, this blizzard was right in front of me. I knew I couldn't hike in a blizzard, so I was just stuck until I saw what I thought was a light post in the distance. I knew that was probably the best chance to make it out of that mountain. Once I got closer, I realized this was a town. I remember not seeing any type of town or anything on the maps of this place, but I didn't care. As I got further into this town, the snow got weirder. None of the snow was sticking to the ground, and when it touched my skin, it felt dry. That town had a strange feeling anywhere I went in it, and I couldn't see that far ahead of me, so I can't even explain what it looked like. I just kept walking because I didn't know what to do. Anytime I saw a door, it was locked, and all the awnings were tattered. It wasn't like it was cold, I wasn't getting wet, but I needed to find something to cover. I started to follow the walls, like the maze trick where you keep turning right, you will escape. After a few minutes, I found a hole in a wall of what looked like a shop or a flea market, but the hole did not lead to that. No. That hole led to a rundown hotel room. I don't know why, but seeing that room almost made me sick, so I left and kept moving until I got to another hole. This one was connected to a movie theater, but the inside was a small bedroom. I was going to keep moving on, but right as I started to look away, I froze as a thing just walked by me. I still don't know what this is, but I was shaped almost like a deer mixed with a human skeleton. But even though I was starting at it, I couldn't comprehend it. It felt like I was starting at nothing. It's like that surreal feeling you get looking at a celebrity in person. But I didn't want to try my luck if it was friendly, so I climbed through the hole. As I was, it grabbed my ankle but instantly let go as soon as my foot went through. Although it was just a second, my ankle felt like it just got pissed on by Satan himself. It took a minute, but when I calmed down, I looked at it, and all I saw was back, not like burnt black, but like soulless black. Then I realized where I was. That bedroom is the same bedroom from my childhood house where a lot of bad things happened. It's also where my parents were murdered. I know that it was a bombshell, but the thing I saw is what my mind created in place of the man who did it. But how I see that in real life doesn't make sense. It never existed, just a symbol. I knew I had to get out of that place. I crawled out of the hole, and I ran. I ran till I saw the tree line, and I kept going. I stumbled through those trees until I returned to the path where I started, but it was nighttime. I somehow lost an entire day in what felt like 10 minutes. I just ran back to the campsite, and I packed everything up, and I drove back home. When I got home, it was the next Friday. Which means I spent 3 days in that blizzard-covered town. That was a year ago. I never wanted to think of that town again, but I've been seeing things. I keep seeing a tall figure that lurks deep in the shadows, a humanoid deer covered in human bones. The thing I saw in that town. That was over a year ago, and I still can't shake the memories of that ghost town. I catch glimpses of the creature I encountered, a strange being unlike anything I've ever seen. It lurks in the shadows, watching me. I thought leaving that town would be the end of it, but I was wrong. This story isn't just about what happened on that mountain, but about what followed me back here. If you've ever faced something you couldn't explain, something you couldn't escape, let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, it really helps us a lot to keep bringing you more of these thrilling stories. Thank you for watching, and remember, things are not always as they seem.